The rain poured down hard that night. The streets were nearly empty, except for one young woman walking slowly, her clothes soaked and her hands trembling from the cold. She carried an old rag and a small bucket, the kind used by cleaners. Her name was Layla. She stopped in front of a massive house, the kind with tall iron gates, shining lights, and cars worth more than she could ever imagine. With tears in her eyes and hunger twisting her stomach, she whispered to herself, maybe they'll let me clean for a little food. Little did she know the man who opened that door would change her life forever. Before we dive into this emotional story, make sure to subscribe to Whispers of Goodness, where we share true and inspiring stories about kindness, hope, and second chances. Don't forget to like, comment, and tell us what kindness means to you. Your words can inspire others too. Layla had once been full of dreams. She grew up believing hard work always paid off. But after her mother died and she lost her job at a cleaning service, life became a fight for survival. For days she'd been sleeping in bus stops, saving coins to buy a small loaf of bread. That night, she hadn't eaten in 2 days. She saw the lights of the big mansion on Maple Street and thought, maybe if I offer to clean something, they'll give me food. She didn't want money. She didn't even want shelter. Just one meal. Her hands shook as she rang the bell. A tall man opened the door, wearing a dark suit and holding a phone. His voice was cold and tired. Yes, what do you want? Sir, she said softly, almost afraid of her own words. Can I clean your house for a plate of food? The man blinked, confused. You want to clean? At this hour? She nodded, her eyes full of quiet desperation. Please, sir, I'll mop your floors, wash your dishes, anything. I just haven't eaten in 2 days. For a moment, he just stared at her, drenched, pale, and shivering. Then something in his face changed. His voice softened. Wait here, he said, disappearing inside. Layla waited, hugging her bucket like a shield. She expected him to return with a guard, or maybe to tell her to leave. But instead, the man came back holding a warm plate of pasta, a slice of bread and a blanket. Come in, he said quietly. You don't need to clean. Just eat. She hesitated. Sir, I can't just take food without earning it. He smiled a little. You already did. You reminded me what hunger looks like. Layla stepped inside. The warmth of the house felt like heaven. The smell of food made her eyes fill with tears. She sat on the edge of a chair, whispering a thank you before she began to eat slowly, carefully, as if afraid it would vanish. The man's name was Ethan Moore. He was a millionaire entrepreneur who built a tech company from scratch. He had more money than he could ever spend, yet more loneliness than he could ever feel. His wife had left years ago, saying he cared more about his business than his family. As Layla ate quietly, Ethan watched her. Something about her face looked familiar, but he couldn't quite place it. Where are you from? He asked. Layla smiled faintly. Around here. Used to clean offices downtown. Until, well, the company closed. I tried to find work, but no one wanted to hire someone without a car or a home address. Her honesty hit him harder than he expected. He thought about how he'd been complaining earlier that day about a deal falling through while this girl was begging for a plate of food. After she finished eating, she stood up. Thank you, sir. I'll go now. Wait, Ethan said. Where will you go? She hesitated. I don't know, maybe back to the bus station. It's dry there. Something inside Ethan broke. He couldn't just let her walk away. No, you're not sleeping at a bus stop. But sir, he raised a hand. You can stay in the guest room tonight. It's warm, and I'll call someone tomorrow to help you find a job. Tears welled up in Layla's eyes. I can't accept that. You can, he said gently. Sometimes kindness isn't a debt. It's a gift. That night, Layla slept in a soft bed for the first time in months. She cried quietly, not from sadness but from relief, from feeling seen. Ethan sat in his office, staring at an old photo of a woman holding a little girl, his ex-wife and daughter Emily. He hadn't seen Emily in years, not since their bitter divorce. His heart ached with regret. Suddenly, he realized why Layla's face had felt familiar. She looked just like Emily would at that age. The next morning, Ethan made breakfast. When Layla walked in, he said, You remind me of someone. She smiled shyly. Your daughter? He nodded. Yeah. I haven't talked to her in a long time. Layla looked down. Maybe you should. Her words, simple but true, cut through him like sunlight through clouds. Over the next few days, Ethan helped Layla get back on her feet. He found her a job at one of his office buildings, not as charity, but because she was skilled and hard-working. He bought her new clothes, helped her find a small apartment, and introduced her to a few kind people who wanted to help. At first, Leila didn't know how to react. She wasn't used to people being this kind, but she worked hard, saved money, and slowly built her life back. One day, as Ethan was leaving his office, he saw Leila talking to one of his employees. She was laughing, the kind of laugh that only comes from peace after pain. He realized how much she had changed, how much he had changed. That night, Ethan did something he'd been avoiding for years. He called his daughter. "Emily," he said softly when she picked up. "I know it's been a long time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry and I miss you." There was silence on the other end. Then a trembling voice said, "I miss you too, Dad." Ethan felt a tear fall. For the first time in years, his heart felt whole. Weeks later, Emily came to visit. When she met Leila, she smiled warmly. "My dad told me how you two met. You really changed him." Leila blushed. "He changed me too. They became friends, almost like sisters." Emily helped Leila with her studies. She wanted to finish school and maybe start her own cleaning company one day. Ethan watched them from the porch, his heart swelling with gratitude. Sometimes he thought about that rainy night. What if he'd shut the door? What if he'd walked away? One act of kindness had created a ripple, not just saving a life, but healing a family. Months later, Leila opened her own small cleaning business. She called it Second Chance Cleaning. Her first client was, of course, Ethan. When the local newspaper asked her about her success, she said something that touched everyone's heart. "All I wanted was a plate of food. Instead, I got hope, family, and a future. Kindness costs nothing, but it can give everything." Ethan smiled as he read the article, framed it, and hung it in his office. It reminded him that wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in the good we do. So, the next time someone knocks on your door, whether literally or metaphorically, take a moment before you turn them away. That person might not just need your help, they might also help you rediscover your own heart. Kindness doesn't always come wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it arrives soaked in rain, holding a bucket and asking only for a plate of food. Subscribe to Whispers of Goodness for more heart-touching stories like this. Let's keep spreading love, one story at a time.